Hello, timeless sagas enthusiasts. Today, we're going to dive into the fascinating history of the hijab, a head covering worn by many Muslim women. This emblematic piece of clothing has been the center of debates, admiration, and misconceptions throughout history, and today, we're going to explore how it has evolved and what it signifies through the ages. Let's first travel back in time to ancient Mesopotamia, where the first recorded evidence of head coverings for women can be found. Back then, it was less about religious beliefs and more about social status. Mesopotamian women of high rank and nobility wore veils, while lower-class women and slaves went bareheaded. So, if you were an elite lady, you'd want to flaunt that status with a veil as fabulous as your social standing. Now, let's fast forward to the 6th century, when the world was introduced to Islam. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, contains a verse known as Al-Hijab, which means the veil. But contrary to popular belief, this verse doesn't actually command women to wear a headscarf. It instructs the Prophet Muhammad's wives to speak from behind a curtain to maintain their privacy. So, the hijab in its earliest form was more of a metaphorical barrier than a physical one. How did we get from that metaphorical curtain to the headscarf we know today? Well, early Islamic scholars interpreted the Quranic verse Qamar as a veil that covered not only the head but also the neck, chest, and sometimes the face. They believed that wearing a qamar was a way to preserve modesty and protect women from unwanted attention. However, interpretations of modesty varied greatly, and so did the styles of hijab worn by Muslim women. Now, let's take a quick detour to the Byzantine and Sasanian empires, where veiling was also common among upper-class women, albeit for different reasons. Christian women in the Byzantine Empire wore head coverings as a sign of piety and submission to God, while Zoroastrian women in the Sasanian Empire covered their heads to protect themselves from evil spirits. So, the practice of covering one's head wasn't exclusive to Islam, but the reasons behind it varied across different cultures. Alright, back to the Islamic world. The hijab, as we know it today, began to take shape during the Umayyad and Abbasid caliphates. Islamic culture spread across the Middle East, North Africa, and even Spain, and along with it, the practice of veiling. But as Islam expanded, it also encountered new cultures, each with their own unique sense of fashion. So, the hijab began to take on different forms, from the elegant turban-style wraps of Moorish Spain to the elaborately embroidered veils of Persia. Despite these regional variations, the basic tenets of modesty and piety remain central to the practice of veiling. This is evident in the writings of renowned Islamic scholars like Al-Ghazali, who emphasize the importance of women covering their heads and bodies as a symbol of their faith and commitment to modesty. Now, let's jump ahead to the 19th and 20th centuries, when the hijab encountered a new challenge: colonialism. European powers took control of many Muslim-majority regions, and with them, they brought their own ideas about clothing and fashion. In some cases, colonial authorities actively discouraged the wearing of the hijab, viewing it as a symbol of backwardness and oppression. They promoted Western clothing as a sign of modernity and progress. In response to this cultural imposition, many Muslim women chose to wear the hijab as an act of defiance and a way to preserve their cultural and religious identity. This marked a turning point in the history of the hijab, as it transformed from a symbol of modesty and piety to one of resistance and empowerment. Post-colonial Muslim-majority countries followed different paths when it came to the hijab. Some, like Turkey and Iran, went through periods of secularization, during which the hijab was banned or discouraged. Other countries, such as Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan, adopted strict dress codes that required women to cover their heads and bodies in public. Today, the hijab is worn by millions of women worldwide, and it continues to evolve in both style and meaning. In some cases, it's a deeply personal expression of religious devotion, while for others, it's a symbol of cultural pride and identity. It's also become a fashion statement, with countless designers and brands offering stylish, modern interpretations of the hijab. But the hijab is also a source of debate and controversy in some parts of the world. Critics argue that it oppresses women, while supporters see it as a choice and a right. This debate has led to various laws and policies, such as the burqa bans in European countries like France and Belgium, which prohibit the wearing of face-covering veils in public spaces. In conclusion, the hijab is more than just a piece of cloth. It's a symbol that has been shaped by history, culture, religion, and politics. It has been worn by women for various reasons, from modesty and piety to resistance and empowerment. And as the world continues to change, so too will the story of the hijab. So, the next time you see a woman wearing a hijab, remember that it's not just a simple headscarf, but a timeless saga full of meaning and history. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the history of the hijab. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more timeless sagas, and let me know in the comments what historical topic you'd like me to cover next. Until then, stay curious, and keep exploring the fascinating stories that make up our shared human history.